An important truth came to light in this connection, and perhaps you were already feeling this deep in your heart, even before listening to this message. There is something that can no longer stay hidden, something that was being pushed into silence, disguised by distance, pride, fear, or confusion, but that now has begun to appear with more strength. And I am going to tell you one thing with all affection. When a truth like this comes to light, it is not to scare you. It is to awaken you. It is to make you see what before seemed too confusing. It is to show that behind this connection there is a deeper movement happening, even if on the outside everything still seems undefined. The angels show that this bond stirs much more with this person than they tried to show. For a time, there was an effort to hide feelings, to pretend that everything was under control, to move forward without looking back, as if this story could be treated as something simple, but it is not simple. And what is coming to light now is exactly that. This connection left marks, generated strong memories, created a bond that did not dissolve with time. Perhaps you have wondered many times if it was a thing of your head, if you were feeling it alone, if there was any real reciprocity behind all this silence. And this message arrives exactly to touch upon this point. No, you did not feel it all alone. No, this was not small. No, this story did not pass unnoticed in this person's heart. You know what I think when a message like this arrives? I think that there are connections that try to be forgotten, but they cannot, because they have already touched a very deep place of the soul. And when this happens, the truth begins to appear in ways that are not always grand at the beginning. Sometimes it appears as restlessness, sometimes as longing that the person cannot explain, sometimes as a silent comparison between you and any other presence, sometimes as a desire to reach out to you that grows without them being able to control it. It is as if something inside them no longer accepted continuing to lie. The angels want you to understand that this truth that came to light did not emerge out of nowhere. It was maturing in the silence. It was growing in moments of solitude. It was forming on the nights when this person tried to sleep and could not calm their own mind. It was getting stronger in the memories, in the regrets, in the comparisons, in the signs that life was bringing. Because there are moments when the heart tires of sustaining a version that does not correspond to what it truly feels. And that is when the truth breaks the surface. Have you already noticed how certain connections seem to continue talking to us, even when there is no conversation happening? I know this stirs deep. I know that sometimes it is tiring to feel so much without having a clear answer. But stay with me until the end, because what is being revealed here is not just that this person still thinks of you. It is that there was a new perception, an understanding that they could no longer avoid. Something inside them recognized that what existed between you was not common, was not replaceable, and was not as easy to ignore as they wanted to believe. Before we continue, write this mantra in the comments. The truth that comes from heaven strengthens me and brings me peace. Write it with faith, because when we write, it seems like the heart agrees with that which the high is confirming. The angels show that this person began to perceive in a more intense way the space you occupy inside them. And perhaps this happened exactly when they thought everything was already resolved. Perhaps it was at the moment when they tried to follow a new direction, to distract themselves, to dive into other things, to keep the routine full so as not to think. But there are certain emptinesses that no distraction fills. There are certain absences that become more visible precisely when the person tries to prove to themselves that they no longer feel anything. And it was in this movement that a lot of hidden things began to reveal themselves. There is a very big difference between missing someone and realizing that that person marked the soul. Missing someone can pass, but recognizing that someone marked the soul changes everything. Because then the person is no longer dealing with a light or fleeting feeling. They begin to face their own truth. They begin to understand that it wasn't just attachment, it wasn't just habit, it wasn't just neediness, it was something deeper. And the angels show that this perception stirred strongly with this person. They began to review attitudes, to think about what they failed to say, about what they could have done in another way, about what they lost by not having been honest with themselves. In my view, one of the strongest things in a connection like this is when the truth begins to win over pride. Because pride makes the person stay quiet, distance themselves, pretend control. But the truth wears down this pride little by little. It tightens, it takes away peace of mind. It shows that continuing to pretend costs too much on the inside. And that is what is happening. This person can no longer sustain with the same strength the emotional distance they tried to impose. The angels show me also that there was a type of internal shock, as if they had realized they could really lose you. And I am going to be very sincere with you. There are people who only understand the importance of a connection when they begin to feel that the other might no longer be waiting. When they perceive that the other's life can move on, when they feel that perhaps they no longer have the same access. This type of perception shakes them because it forces the person to look with truth at what they feel. Perhaps you spent days trying to understand why, even without much explanation, your heart continued capturing something. Perhaps you felt a different energy, a tightness, a restlessness, a sensation that something was moving behind the silence. Trust your intuition more. Not everything needs to be said out loud to be real. Sometimes the heart perceives before the mind. Sometimes the soul recognizes before the facts organize themselves. And the angels are showing that what you felt has a foundation. Now I want to ask you for something simple but powerful. Write 7 to 77 in the comments as an act of agreement with this message and of openness to the clarity that heaven wants to pour over this connection. And if this message is truly helping you, and you feel it in your heart, you can support this channel through the donation in the QR code that appears in the video or through the link that is in the description and in the pinned comment. This gesture of affection helps this word to continue reaching people who are also needing consolation, direction, and hope today. There is something very important happening in this person's heart, and it is related to comparison. The angels show that they began to perceive that they tried to find in other places what they only felt with you. They tried to repeat sensations. They tried to convince themselves that they could live something similar with another person. They tried to fill the space with routine, conversation, distraction, even with new possibilities. But they did not find the same type of presence, of connection, of depth. And this brought a hard truth to them. What existed with you had a weight that they did not understand at the time. When this perception arrives, it does not arrive in a comfortable way, because it forces the person to admit that they minimized something important. It forces them to recognize that they treated as replaceable that which was not. And this usually generates regret. Not a theatrical regret, but that silent one which the person swallows alone, which appears in their most intimate thoughts, which returns when they remember a gesture of yours, a conversation, your way of being present. Take a deep breath for an instant. Place your hand on your heart, because I know that hearing this can awaken a lot of things inside of you. It can bring relief, but it can also touch wounds. And I want to tell you with all presence, do not rush to transform this message into anxiety. Receive it first as confirmation. Receive it as light. Receive it as an important piece of understanding. Not always, when the truth comes to light, is everything resolved at the same hour. Sometimes the truth comes first to organize on the inside what is yet to reveal itself on the outside. The angels also show that this person has been passing through moments of a lot of internal conversation. They think about what they would say to you. They think about how you would react. They think about what would happen if they reached out to you now. They think if space still exists. They think if you would still feel something. And more than that, they think if they would have the courage to open the heart for real. Because recognizing the feeling is one thing, exposing this feeling is another. Except now, they can no longer pretend to themselves. And this is a huge step. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe and stay with us. Here there always is a word of faith for when the heart needs to breathe, understand what it is living, and find a little more peace. What the angels show now is that this truth came to light because the time of denial is weakening. And I think this is very strong, because many people imagine that time always erases. Not always. Sometimes time reveals. Sometimes it takes away the distractions, it silences the noises, it leaves the person face to face with that which they tried to push far away. And that was exactly what happened here. This person began to perceive that the more they tried to distance themselves emotionally, the more they were pulled into the memory of that which they lived with you. There are memories that gained more strength. There are details of yours that started to make more lack. There are things that perhaps they didn't even value before, but that now have become precious in the memory. Your way, your energy, your listening, your intensity, your presence, the form in which you made this person feel. And when someone begins to feel the lack not only of moments, but of the way they were touched by a presence, that says a lot. I want to ask you a very direct question. Did you feel deep down that this connection was still alive even when everything seemed stopped? Because the angels show that many times you perceived this invisible line. There were days when something inside of you told you that this story had not ended yet the way it seemed. And I am not talking necessarily about immediate beginning again. I am talking about emotional truth. I am talking about a feeling that continued existing and now can no longer hide itself. The angels show also that this person feels fear. Fear of reaching out to you and finding distance. Fear of speaking and not knowing what to hear. Fear of discovering that you are no longer available in the same way. Fear of recognizing that they lost too much time. And this fear has held back a lot of things. Except at the same time, the internal pressure is growing because a point arrives when the weight of silence becomes greater than the fear of the answer. The angels are sending you a special sign. Your lucky number for today is 8. Write in the comments, I receive the energy of the angels. My lucky number is 8, and I receive this message with faith. This number carries the force of overcoming, of interior firmness, and of that which returns to the right place after many turns. There is a part of this message that I think is especially important, and I want to ask for your attention now. The truth that came to light in this connection is not only about feeling, it is also about value. This person began to understand your value in a way they did not understand before. They began to perceive the difference between having someone nearby and recognizing the rarity of that presence. And when this realization drops, something changes deeply, because it is no longer just about longing. It is about respect for what was lived and for what you represent. In my view, this is one of the things that stir most in a connection. When the person starts to see late that which you already delivered with truth a long time ago. It could be that at some moment you felt that you were not seen completely, that your importance was not being perceived, that your love, your care, your energy were not being recognized as they should be. And this hurts. Except now the angels show that this recognition began to happen inside them in a way impossible to ignore. Perhaps they haven't managed to put this into words yet. Perhaps they are still processing. Perhaps they are still observing you from afar, trying to understand what they feel, evaluating possibilities, measuring courage. But the emotional truth has already moved on the inside. And this changes the field of this connection. It changes the energy. It changes the way they look at you, at the past, and at what can still happen. If you are listening to this at night, in silence, with a full head and a tightened heart. I want you to feel that this message is embracing you now. Not everyone understands what it is to live a connection that continues stirring with us, even without clear explanations. Not everyone understands the weight of silence when there is feeling involved. But heaven understands, and the angels are bringing this word to calm what is confused and to confirm what seemed invisible. Write a list in the comments of people, including yourself, whom you would like to forgive. Visualize each of them, send love and say, "I forgive you and I release you. May peace be with you." Feel the lightness that this brings, because regardless of what this person does from now on, your heart needs to continue light, whole, and protected. The angels show that forgiveness has an important role here. Not because you need to accept just anything, but because there are weights that cannot continue occupying space inside of you. Too much heartache confuses intuition. Too much resentment closes internal paths. And this message did not arrive to trap you even more to this story. It arrived to give you understanding, strengthen your perception, and place you in a firmer place emotionally. There is something even deeper happening. This person is beginning to perceive that it was not only about what they felt when they were near you, but about what they ceased to feel after you distanced yourself. This is very strong because it shows real comparison. It shows concrete absence. It shows that life moved on, but something essential was not replaced. And when someone recognizes this, they can hardly remain the same. Perhaps this person lived days of restlessness, remembered you with more frequency, sought signs, mentally visited moments they lived by your side. Perhaps they rehearsed contact. Perhaps they deleted a message. Perhaps they stopped at some photo. Perhaps they reviewed an old conversation. The angels show this internal movement happening in a very clear way. And I'm going to tell you, when the energy reaches this point, the silence no longer stays so stable for a long time. But here exists an important key for you. Do not despair trying to anticipate what is still maturing. I know that the heart wants quick answers. I know that when we hear that the truth came to light, it gives a desire to know what is going to happen tomorrow, if there will be a message, if there will be a search, if there will be reconciliation. Except heaven is calling you to a place of balance. Receiving confirmation does not mean running after the future. It means positioning yourself with more clarity in the present. And the present asks you for a very valuable thing. Value what you feel, but do not abandon yourself. Recognize the connection, but do not diminish yourself. Understand the movement of the other, but do not transform this into an excuse to forget your emotional dignity. The angels are not telling you to wait indefinitely. They are showing you that the truth exists, that the feeling did not pass unnoticed, that something was recognized, and this is already too important. Share this video with 2 dear people who need this message today. And if you can, also leave a prayer for your guardian angel in the comments. There is a lot of strength when people unite in faith, good intention, and words that lift whoever is tired. The angels show me that this connection entered a turning point. Not necessarily because everything is already resolved, but because the emotional lie lost strength. And this by itself already changes a lot of things. That which was hidden began to ask for passage. That which was denied began to weigh. That which seemed buried began to breathe again. And this person's heart can no longer remain in peace, pretending that you have no importance. Now I want you to receive this with calmness. Perhaps the biggest truth that came to light in this connection is that the bond between you was deeper than this person had the courage to admit. And recognizing this messes up the emotional, stirs with pride, wakes up longing, brings regret, and makes the person reconsider paths. None of this is small. There are moments when our soul only needs a confirmation to stop doubting itself so much. And I feel that this message came also for that. so that you stop thinking you were too intense alone, so that you stop imagining that you invented signs, so that you understand that your perception was not wrong. What existed between you touched, yes, an important place in the other heart. And now, this is appearing with more truth. If this message spoke to you, write in the comments. The truth of this connection is being illuminated, and my heart remains in peace. Share your experience, like this video, and subscribe to the channel for more messages like this. Thank you for being here with me. May God bless your life, strengthen your heart, and lead you with clarity in everything that comes next. Until the next video.